All right, all right, all right. I want to say again one more time, if I haven't said it enough by now, thank you to Ernest, Spiva, and company, Nick. Thank you also again, Nick and Ernest, for the opportunity to be able to use their intro music for this show. Ernest and Nick, for real, thank you very, very much for the opportunity to be able to use that intro music. Okay, with that having been said, today I got a special treat on the Whiskey Hour. You know, it is a water cooler moment where we can talk freely about things that we want to talk about without being governed by anybody. I love it. I love it when free speech is free speech and can't nobody say or do nothing about it. And that's what this show is all about. Free speech, speaking your mind, speaking your truth, speaking what you believe in. That's what we do right here on the Whiskey Hour podcast on the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network. Without further ado, I'm going to bring in my son. I call him my son because I love him very, very much. I married into the family. They accepted me, and I am so appreciative for them. So without further ado, here's my boy, none other than Andrew, the Tuba Conger.
It's like, just looks like a tuba. The tuba comes up.
You know what I mean? It almost feels like that. Andrew, man, it's good to have you. For those of you that don't know, Andrew is a music major. He has graduated college. He is now amongst the working folk out there at the elementary school. And he doesn't like to say it. He's from Georgia Southern University, even though he feels like it's still Armstrong. That might be a conversation for a different day. But no, he's out of Georgia Southern. He's doing great things. He's with Savannah Winds, which is an incredible feat for anybody to be a part of outside of high school or college music programs. Now we're at the professional level of Savannah Winds, where he is a proud member of. He's also, or was, and I don't know, Andrew, are you still associated with your fraternity? Are you still holding a seat in the fraternity?
I am currently working on organizing an alumni association here in the coastal Georgia area, Phi Mu Alpha Symphonia.
So there you go. If you want to be a part of that organization, Andrew Conger, you can find him on Facebook. If you're not able to find him on Facebook, you can certainly DM me, and I will link you up with Andrew if that is something that you would like to be a part of. I always encourage those types of activities because I believe that if you have a passion for music and a passion for those types of things, that's probably a fraternity that you would want to be a part of. Andrew certainly is a very strong leader, not only in that organization where he's held those titles, but also as a leader in his own school that he operates out of. So Andrew, man, mad respect for your leadership, man, mad respect for your musicianship. And I can't think of anybody else that I'd want to talk music today with other than you, my brother, because I think that you have a deep appreciation from it. I also think that your musical tastes are far different than my musical taste. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just we are two different people. And I believe that music resonates with the both of us in different ways, as it does with anybody else. You know, I mean, music is one of those things where I feel like, you know, you may be country, you may be rap, you may be rock, you may be all of those things, you may be blues, you may be all those things, or you may be one or two. But the one thing we all have in common is that we have an appreciation for what moves us in the music industry. Okay. So for me, let's just do a little background check on our musical taste, if you don't mind, Andrew.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm going to give you my musical taste. And then of course, we'll hear your musical tastes. And then from there, we'll actually get into songs that have moved us in directions, maybe not the same direction, but in different directions. But again, music, I believe music is something that moves people in different directions depending on the time and frame in which they're in. So if I want to hear happy music, I might throw on something happy. I don't know. I don't know much for happy music that I listen to.
Happy by Pharrell
maybe Stone Temple Pilots kind of puts me in a happy mood. Maybe Puddle of Mud puts me in a happy mood. Maybe Tupac puts me in a happy mood. I don't know. Maybe it's Chris Stapleton. It's a Tennessee whiskey that puts me in a happy mood. I don't know, Andrew. There are different musics for different reasons that I listen to, and I'm sure you're probably the same way. A little bit of my musical background. I grew up. I was born in 1972. I don't want to say live. That's misleading. But I did grow up with some cousins of mine, and I hope they don't mind me saying their names. I'm going to say last names. I'm just going to say first names. But Mark, excuse me, not Mark. Mark, I love you. I love you. But you weren't there during that time period, so I apologize. Deanna, Greg, and Doug. All of them are siblings, and I would go over there and I would spend time with them. And I grew up on basically disco music with a side of country on Deanna. And then Doug and Greg put me into everything rock related. I mean, everything from Led Zeppelin, ZZ Top, Rush, Iron Maiden, you name it. If it's rock related, I guarantee you, I heard it in their households, and I really wanted to be like them. And what I mean by that was, Greg he played guitar, as a hobby. He was a guitarist as a hobby, but he was really good at doing it. And I love hearing him strum on the guitar for no other reason, just to listen to them play music. Doug played the drums. And he actually was in a band called Silk at the time. Harry, I think, was the lead guitarist of that band, and also maybe been the lead singer. But I grew up on listening to them and their little storage units that they would go to and practice in. And ultimately, they went to Fame City, and they won Battle of the Bands. Believe it or not, Andrew, they won Battle of the Bands. And Mark Slaughter. Now, if you don't know the band Slaughter, then it may be a little bit before your time, but there was a band at one point in time in the 80s that was called Slaughter. And Mark Slaughter at the time was looking for a drummer, and he wound up going with a different guy other than my cousin, because my cousin didn't have the long hair and he didn't fit the hair band image I think that Slaughter was going for. So ultimately, he was bypassed on that. But I will tell you, my cousin could play drums like nobody's business. I listened to that man play drums from day one. He was self-taught, by the way. He did not teach himself. Nobody taught him. He was a self-taught drummer, and he could bang on those Tama drums like nobody I've ever seen. Just amazing to watch. And, it's cool because when you grow up in a scene like that, where you see live music in your family, it kind of puts a different spin on it, a little bit of an edge on it. Maybe gets you a little bit more involved or a little bit more invested into music. And they really got me invested into music on the country, rock, and disco scene. So that's kind of a little bit how I grew up and kind of things that influenced me. Of course, I grew up into I grew up into the 80s generation. We got into Depeche Modes. We got into Cures. We got into Front 242s and the electric movement and all that corporatized, as well as Phil Collins and a few other people that were out there at the time. And that's kind of where I grew up in. And ultimately, I got into the 90s where I was getting ready to get out of high school. And that's when I got into the grunge movement. I got into Blind Melon, the Melvins, who else was out there? Stone Temple Pilots was out there, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, and then the list goes on and on from that perspective. But I never let go of Johnny Cash. I never let go of Hank Williams Jr. I never let go of the late and great B.B. King, who, as you know, influenced Stevie Ray Vaughan. With Stevie Ray Vaughan, as you know, is a whole other level of guitar play from a white person perspective. As you know, white people in the blues scene was not exactly a common thing to see happen. And Stevie Ray Vaughan crossed into that. And I would encourage anybody, if you ever go to Memphis on Beale Street in perspective, Stevie Ray Vaughan actually has a bar there, and you can see a lot of Stevie Ray Vaughan's guitars and things of that nature. So I would encourage anybody, if you want to do a really good, strong musical journey, that Tennessee should be your place that you start. Because Tennessee has housed some of the best musicians I've ever heard of, to include Saliva and Josie Scott, which I still adore to this day, all the way down to Nashville. And everybody knows about Nashville. If you've never been down to Nashville, I encourage you to go to Nashville. I encourage you to go to 6th Street in Austin and go see Austin City Limits. If you want to go see two musical experiences that will shape your life, go to Austin 6th Street and go experience Austin City Limit at its finest, and go to Nashville and experience Nashville Row, Music Row. They call it Music Row in Nashville. Go to Music Row. And I promise you, if you go to those two venues alone, your mind will be blown apart by the different styles of music that has come to be. So that's just my little background of where I come from. And now I'm going to turn it over to my son. Andrew, I hope you don't mind me calling you my son, but that's you're my son. And now I'm going to view it over to my son, and we're going to get his musical background, his musical taste, and what exactly it is that shaped his musical identity. And then from that point, we will get into our songs, and then we'll go there. But right now, Andrew, floor is yours, my brother.
Well, music's been a part of my life since day one. I was raised in Pentecostal church, so there was a lot of music there, and I was always a big fan of that, especially like choirs with really thick harmony. Love it. And then every once in a while, I grew up watching PBS Kids, and every once in a while, the shows on PBS would have stuff about band. There was a episode of Caillou where his friend's older siblings came home with their band instruments, and it was a big deal.
Right.
And I always wanted to be in band. So when I finally got the opportunity in the 7th grade, I signed up to be in band. I wanted to play the saxophone or the trumpet, but my band director at the time was like, hey, I've got some other instruments that if you play these, you won't have to rent one. And just knowing, I heard the word free and felt like I had to convince my parents so much if I picked one of the free things. So he sent me home with a tuba. And, well, I've been playing a stinking tuba ever since. That was 2010. Did band 7th and 8th grade, went to high school, did marching band, and everything just clicked. I knew that I wanted to do band for the rest of my life. So went to college for it, got a degree in music education, got a lot better at playing the tuba, playing other instruments. I cannot play a lick of guitar. Do not ask me to play guitar. You will not enjoy it. I can show you the basics and then give you to somebody who can teach you a lot more about it.
So with that being said, let me put a quick tactical pause, if you don't mind, right there. Just put a pause right there. Because, and I only say that because there's a couple of things that I know that I want to talk to you while we're in this specific realm of your discussion. Number one, are you telling me that Charlie's ukulele was better than your guitar playing? Because Charlie's pretty good on the ukulele.
Charlie was pretty good at the ukulele. He wasn't bad at the guitar. Charlie picked those up a lot better than I did. I still have Charlie's ukulele. It's like right over there.
Hold on, but I want to clarify. I think we can, and I think if Charlie was here today, God rest his soul, if Charlie was here today, he'd probably tell you that on the win side of it, that you probably are the king de la creme in the family. But I think if we go to strings, that there might be an issue.
Oh yeah, I'm not even going to try to compete with a string instrument. I just let the guitar players have that.
Yes,
at this
absolutely.
point, I'm fine without knowing the guitar.
So for those that don't know on this show, and this is where I want to have you at a tactical pause, because I want to discuss a couple of key things. Number one, that Charlie was the better string player. I'm not trying to glow Charlie, but he was a better string player in the family. Okay, because I can't play strings. You don't play strings all that well. My dad didn't play strings. So we're going to give Charlie the creme de la creme of the string side of life. But what I think is interesting, and I want people to know, is that what resonates you and my family pretty well is that my father was 9 credit hours away from a 4-year degree in music, his own personal self. Unfortunately, Vietnam kind of interfered on that a little bit. And then obviously, he impregnated my mother before he went to wherever he went. And I came onto the scene. So that even further complicated his ability to go back to school to finish his degree. But Pop, if you're listening, you're still my boy, Pop. You're still my boy. And my dad will get on that piano like he thinks he's like Beethoven or something and come out that not so much. But it's okay, Pop. We still love you. But the amazing thing about it, which I really love about this dynamic, is that you and my father both played tuba. And you both were in marching bands and things along those natures. And I really believe that is a strong bond that you and my father have, is over playing the same instrument in band. And I will tell you, not to get emotional, but I have beautiful memories of my father playing that little thing that Charlie gave him. Even to this day, I swear to God, he still tries to get out there and thinks he knows how to play. Andrew, that man don't know how to play that damn thing. But he gonna get out there anyway and still try to play it like as if he does know how to play it. And I don't remember the name of the instrument. Andrew, if you know the name of the instrument, you can certainly chime in with that.
I haven't seen him play it.
I don't know. There's some kind of horn thing that or instrument that made it was something you had to blow into to make a damn sound. I don't know what the damn thing was called. It looked like to me, it looked like some kind of like wood instrument that he kind of did something on. But anyway, the point I'm making is that it's a beautiful thing when you marry into a family, and their family plays instruments that your father happens to kind of resonate with. There's a beauty and an essence in that I, to this day, it just blows my mind. And I love it. I love it that even though Charlie's not here with us, that him and Pops had that experience, that you've had that experience with Charlie and my Pops. And that's just a beautiful moment that I wanted to share online with everybody else out there in America. That it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to marry into a family where there's commonalities between the children in that family and or even your mother, who is a singer, and even to incorporate Tony, who is a very gifted musician as well. And when you combine families that have musicianships on both sides of it, and you bring those two families together, there is a beauty in that is just amazing. I'm sorry, Andrew, I didn't mean to pause you, but I wanted to kind of point that out because I really do think that that's amazing.
Yeah, it's your show, man.
No, well, it is my show, but you're on my show, you're co-host, and so you take a little equality as well, sir. Okay, so anyway, I did interrupt you. We were talking about your musical background, and now we know about your band background. We know about your band background outside of high school, outside of college. We know you were in Savannah Winds. I'll tell you what, I would like to speak a little bit on Savannah Winds and what that experience is like. And then I would like for you to transfer after that into music or groups or bands or singers that help shape you coming up.
Sure. Savannah Winds is awesome. We are a community ensemble, so everyone is volunteer. No one's getting paid for it. And we meet on Monday nights from 7 to 9 and rehearse some really challenging music from time to time. And it's just a wonderful way to keep playing. I'm friends with several of the people in there. I was friends with them before I ever hopped in there, and we just get to spend more time together doing the thing that we love to do. We've got music educators in there. We've got pilot. We have people from all sorts of backgrounds who have done music in their life and they love to do it. So they come and play with us. We normally have 5 to 6 rehearsals before our concerts, which take place on Sundays. We do 4 a year. We're about to start rehearsals for our November concert, then a spring concert, a Pops concert, and then a patriotic concert the Sunday before the 4th of July.
That is awesome.
And that our auditorium seats a little under 1,000 people. And for that patriotic concert, you have to buy your tickets ahead of time because
I would imagine so. I gotta imagine it's a patriotic concert. I gotta imagine that's a well sought out concert to attend. Just because a lot of us in America are patriotic, and if nothing else, we're gonna go there for patriotic reasons. And then once we hear the music that accompanies the reason why we're there, it just makes it that much better.
It's a spectacle. I would strongly recommend anybody, if you're in Savannah around the 4th of July, to come to the patriotic concert. It's something you wouldn't want to miss out on. It's wonderful.
I'm not going to toot your own horn, Andrew, but I am going to toot your own horn. One of the things that really, really inspired me, in music about you as an individual was your ability to not only play the instrument, but also to get up in front of people in an audience and command said orchestra with your baton. I think that's amazing. And I'm very, very proud. And I'm very proud to tell everybody that my son has actually commanded an orchestra. Now, it might not be Houston Symphony, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, how many people in their lifetime can say that they commanded much of anything? And that's amazing that you were able to do that. And again, Andrew, I'm not throwing you under the bus, but could you remind everybody how old exactly you are?
I'm 27, and I did quite a bit of conducting through college.
Exactly. And that's my point. You're a 27-year-old young man out there shaping the minds of other young individuals coming up. But you have quite an interesting musical past. You play the instrument. You have conducted the instrument. I mean, that's incredible to say that you played and conducted said instrument. And I really thought it was amazing, all the things that you've been able to accomplish, in a very short period of time, what you've been able to accomplish. And let's be honest, guys, this guy really devotes a lot of his time to developmental our youth. And that's what I really want to capitalize just for a brief moment, what it means when somebody is capitalizing on helping develop our youth. I don't think it's talked about enough. I think we hear all the bad things in life that happen, right? All the school shootings and all this, that, and the other. But I don't think we talk enough about the positivity that's coming towards our youth. I think we do an ample good job of talking about the negativity that comes to our youth, but I don't think we do a good enough job in terms of those who are helping to inspire our youth to do bigger and better things in their life. And Andrew, I know that's something that you're a big, big part of, because you get these kids at elementary level and you're able to influence your guidance, your mentorship onto these younger generations that are coming up. And that's really what we need. Now, this show is about music. I don't want to derail from that, but I don't want to minimize the impact that young people are having on our young people. And Andrew, I say you're a young person because I'm 52 and you're 27. Do the math. What I'm saying is you got a young person here who is educating the littles. We'll call them littles. You're a young person. We're going to call them littles. You got a young person educating our littles for bigger and better things to come in our future. And that is a very, very enormous task put upon our teachers, And I don't want to minimize your effects on what you've had on those children as they come through your classroom onto bigger and better things as they grow upon their educational realm. And I just want to say personally, for me, that I appreciate what you do for our kids. I appreciate the guidance that you're giving to our kids. And man, what a hell of a good time. All right, enough about academia. Let's get into your musical background. What has shaped you, if you don't mind me, you know, growing up, you know, up until, let's say, your high school year, let's say up until your senior year of high school, I really kind of feel like by the time you've hit senior year of high school, your musical tastes have kind of already kind of formed. So what do you suggest, or what would you say, what genre or genres, let me pluralize that because it'll be more than one. What genres have influenced you from, let's say, fifth grade up until your senior year of high school? What genres of music have influenced you the most, and what groups have influenced you the most during that time period?
Okay. Well, when I was pretty little, I loved listening to Southern gospel, like quartet music. It's like barbershop choirs singing Christian music. I listened to a lot of that. The Cathedrals were awesome. Then through middle school, it was pretty... I wasn't paying super close attention to what I was listening to. It was just whatever was on in the car with my parents. But then in 2011, Adele released her 21 album, and that changed my life.
Okay.
I'm probably one of the biggest Adele fans you'll ever meet.
What about Adele? What about Adele attracted you so much? Was there a range of voice? Was it her lyrics? Was it the way she commanded the stage? What about Adele got you into such a deep affection for her?
Well, I was generally just really sad, like a lot of the time, and her voice was just like a warm hug. And then the lyrics are also fantastic as well once you actually settle into them and figure out what's going on there. She spoke to something inside of me that hadn't been spoken to. And
okay, very much. No, that's very deep. If she's able to speak to you in those kinds of ways, that's a very deep thing. Outside of Adele, as you're growing up from your elementary years to your senior years, what other, outside of Adele, what else spoke to you?
Whitney Houston.
Whitney's that's a good one right there. I can get behind Whitney.
Rihanna.
For sure.
Yeah, Rihanna. I listened to a lot of Rihanna and like Nicki Minaj in high school.
Hey, don't display that, because Nicki Minaj and Rihanna are both in my playlists in my music. So continue mission, Bubba. Up until senior, give me one more artist that really influenced you.
John Legend.
Oh, that's a good one. John Legend's a good one. I can't fault you for John Legend. No, seriously. John Legend is, well, his last name kind of speaks for itself, right?
Yeah.
Good stuff. No, seriously, that's good stuff. It's interesting to me. And again, I come from a 52 years of perspective. When I tell you my musical library, it comes from 52 years of growing, maturing, appreciating, however you want to term it. It's 52 years of growth in music. I got everything from Fleetwood Mac to Slipknot to STP to and I'm going through my musical library as I speak. I go all the way up to Chuck Berry. I go to BB King. I go to the likes of, and many people are not going to believe this, but even in Jay's library, you'll find Albert King in my library. And a lot of people don't know Albert King, but Albert King was a predecessor to BB King in the blues development. So when you talk about blues, you know, we're talking BB, we're talking about Albert King and other great legends. Even beyond Albert, there are other legends in the blues world. But I always say, Andrew, rock is the foundation. Everything kind of derivatives. And what I mean by rock is, because you got to remember, rock is a derivative of blues and country combined, which made rock. So, if you want to go to the roots of everything, the roots of all of our music comes from country and blues. And then country and blues then turned into rock. And then from rock, everything else kind of sort of developed off on its own genres, right? Electric,
totally.
Metal, whatever it is you're into. It was all a derivative off of the basics of country and blues. Country and blues are your foundation. And then country and blues combined gives you rock, which then gives you everything else. Now, rap, hip hop, R&B. Now, that's a whole subculture that actually derivatizes itself off of Elvis Presley. If you really want to go further back to R&B and blues and all that, you got to go back to Elvis, because Elvis was a very interesting artist to me, because Elvis was rock, Elvis was gospel, Elvis was country, Elvis was everything that infused to become R&B, hip hop, and then rap kind of developed its own. Rap is the one musical category that you could say kind of came off on its own. It's its own thing, right? But country, rock, blues, all of that derivated itself to hip hop and R&B. And if you don't believe me, go back and do your musical research, and I think you'll find, if you trace back that lineage far enough back, I think you'll understand what it is I'm saying to you. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, we're going to start off our first song of meaning that came to us, and again, my musical meaning and my songs, I'm gonna guide you along my thought process on the songs that I chose, and then I want Andrew to lead you down his list of songs, and he'll give you his play-by-play on how he came up with his list and what directed him down the right way. And the reason why we're doing this, I specifically told Andrew last night that we were not going to talk song selection, because I wanted this conversation to be 100% organic and not pre-rehearsed. And I think that's the way music is. I don't think music is ever pre-rehearsed. I think all the things that make music what music is all derivative of organic things that come to be. So with that having said, I'm going to lead you off with my first song. And the reason why I'm going to go this direction, I'm going to let you know right now, the reason why I chose the songs in which I chose them. Because when I was growing up as a kid, and Andrew, you don't know a lot about this, but when I was growing up as a kid, I was a very dark kid. I had the best parents. Andrew, you met my mother, you met my father, so you know what kind of parents I came from. So anything I tell you is 100% authentic, because you know my parents. So it's not like you don't know the background from which I came from, right? So when I say this is 100% authentic. I grew up as a very, very, very dark child. I can't tell you why I was dark. I can't explain that to you. I can just tell you that I grew up in life very, very depressed. I grew up in life very, very scared of life. I was a very, very scared person to come up in life. And so my scaredness made me rebel in a way against my parents that probably shouldn't have been the case, because they certainly didn't raise me to be the way I chose to lead my life. I led my life purely based on the way Jay wanted to live his life. And so a lot of the music that I'm going to tell you about has to deal with pain, has to deal with mental anguish, has to deal with struggle, because that's how I grew up. And how you grow up reflects the music that you're listening to. Not that there's anything wrong with the music I'm about to tell you about, but it just I resonated with it so deeply that that's what influenced my growing up. Now, I just told you I was growing up on disco. I was growing up on Rush, Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath, ABBA, Donna Summers, Heart, you name it. Blondie, Heart of Glass. I mean, I was growing up on these things, right? Hank Williams, Willie Nelson, all that stuff. Johnny Cash. I grew up on all of that kind of music, but in whatever realm, I always resonated with songs that talked about pain. Because I felt like internally in my life, I dealt with a lot of pain that I didn't quite understand, but I was dealing with, and again, it's just into mental health. A lot of the things you don't understand growing up, because back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, mental health wasn't a big thing back then. We didn't talk about mental health. We didn't really talk about mental health until we got into the 2000s, and then we started talking a little bit more about mental health. So I grew up ADHD, ADD, whatever it is you want to put on there. I don't really know, but I knew I had a lot of that in me. I had a lot of darkness in me. I had a lot of depression in me. I had a lot of anxiety in me. I had a lot of different things in Jay McLovin that I don't always talk about, but I'm going to talk about because it really has influenced the type of music that I grew up on and the type of music that I listened to and things of that nature. So without further ado, my first song is by Blue October. Now, Blue October, if you ever want to listen to somebody, if you're out there and listening to this broadcast, and if you suffer from mental health issues, whether it be depression, whether it be anxiety, bipolar, OCD, whatever it is your affliction, I would ask you to go listen to Blue October from album 1 all the way up until album, and I forget, they just released a new album, and I don't know what the name of it is, but listen to the progression of their music, because he is all about mental health. Justin Furstenfeld is the lead singer for Blue October, and he has no problem telling you about how mental health shaped all of his music, all of it, every last inch of it. Has been shaped by mental health in one way or another. And so the first song that I'm going to talk about, and then I'm going to turn it over to Andrew, and Andrew's going to give you his first song. My first song is Hate Me by Blue October. It talks about voices in your head. It talks about the ugliness that becomes even more ugliness. It talks about living in your pain and how to deal with living in your pain and what it means to feel like living in with your pain. But more importantly, it talks about and this really kind of hits hard for me, and this is why I chose this song, Hate Me, because it has a very deep meaning to me, is that it goes to how you treat others in dealing with your pain and how it affects others with the pain that you're going through. So if you want to hear a song that will talk about those kinds of things, then Hate Me would be your drug of choice, because again, when we talk about Hate Me, it comes out in his earlier albums as he's going through his progression to get better in mental health. But I resonated it because I felt like I as a young person, I felt like internally I'm an ugly person. I'm ugly on the inside. And I don't know how anybody can love somebody who is so ugly on the inside. And I almost lived in my pain because let's be honest, we all look for excuses to deal with what we're dealing with. And that particular was my excuse. Well, my excuse is I love to live in pain. I live in pain. This is what I do. And that's why that song resonates so deeply in me. It's because it talks about that specific subject matter, dealing with your pain, and then how you project that pain upon others. And that's why Hate Me by Blue October is so resonant at number one. Andrew, I'm curious to know, what is your number one and how does your number one resonate with you?
Okay. So I'm starting kind of like towards the bottom of my list and working up.
However you want to do it, brother.
Yeah. So like my number 5 is a song by a band called Rainbow Kitten Surprise. What a fun name, right? They are pretty like jazz, kind of jazzy fusiony, EDM-ish. It's really modern music, but they're wonderful. And the song by them that I picked is called Free Fall. Literally, it's called Free Fall is the name of the song. And it's in that same sort of vein of sitting in your pain and dealing with it. And the lyrics, he's talking to the devil. They're going through all of their emotions and just letting go, and just the song literally, you can let it all go. It's called Free Fall, and it's just great. Lots of words. It goes by really fast. I suggest reading the lyrics as you listen to it because it goes by quick. It's wonderful.
And again, I will tell you right now, if you miss these lyrics or miss these songs, don't worry, because in part 2 of this, me and Andrew are going to listen to each other's music, and then you can hear more of it as it goes. But again, Free Fall by, what was the name of the band?
Rainbow Kitten Surprise. It's called Free Fall by Rainbow Kitten Surprise.
All right, Rainbow Kittens Surprise is the name of the band. Free Fall is the name of the song. That is Andrew's number 5 song that he wants you to listen to. Obviously, I want you to listen to my number 1. That is Hate Me by Blue October. Okay, first songs are out of the way. Now we move on to the second song. My second song is, again, I'm going to go back to Blue October one more time, and this will be the last time I mention Blue October in this set. But I can't tell you, there's a number of other songs by Blue October that I think you should listen to. Dirt Room. If you have OCD or depression issues, go listen to Dirt Room by Blue October, and I promise you, you will highly resonate with that song if you're battling depression, if you're battling OCD, if you're battling bipolar. I would highly recommend you go listen to Dirt Room by Blue October, and I think you'll find a very common ground between your illness and that song in particular. My second song, though, is I Hope You're Happy. Now, as we go through this progression of songs, you're going to see where it starts out as Hate Me as the worst of the worst. And then it's going to get better as we get to song number 5. And I'm not going to tell you about song number 5 till we get to song number 5. But I'm just going to let you know the progression of my songs is how I started. And number 5 is going to be how I finished this musical journey in terms of mental health. So my second song is I Hope You're Happy by Blue October. And it basically talks about how you go through all of your feelings And the one person that gets you. I think we all have gone through things where things may be troubling, and you find that one person that actually just kind of gets what you're going through in that experience. And if you're lucky enough to find somebody like that, sometimes those two calamities can come together and produce a beautiful product in the end, right? Because you can each be a support system for the other in terms of your battle with mental illness. So that's what I love about it. It says about the one person that gets your things. The second thing is people want your happiness, but only you can achieve it. People want you to be happy, but only you can achieve your ultimate version of happiness, whether that be through counseling or having a support system that helps guide you through it, whatever the case may be. So I hope you're happy is basically him saying, like, sarcastically, you gave me all the advice. I kind of took some of it and I discarded the rest. So I hope you're happy thinking that you gave me some good advice. That's kind of what the song is telling you in number 2. And I think if you think about the progression of it is him wanting you to hate him and then hoping that you're happy and that you think what you gave him was going to be a success isn't necessarily his version of success. So that's kind of where I hope you're happy comes from. And so again, it comes with the second evolution of being at the bottom and fighting your way out of the ugliness of the bottom. And again, that's the last song I'm going to leave you with is I Hope You're Happy by Blue October. But if you continue to listen to Blue October throughout the progression of all of their albums, I think you're going to find that by the time you get to the last album that he has currently recorded, that you're going to see a person that has overcome the worst of worst situations. I mean, we're talking about drug addiction, dealing with mental health. We're talking about dragging your wife and your kids through the addiction of mental health. And if you watch Blue October, that's why I really want to stress Blue October. And my motive of songs is if you're out there dealing with mental health issues, listen to everything that Justin Furstenfeld has gone through from album number 1 all the way to his latest album. And if you work through the progressions of those albums, you're going to see how it comes out to be a very, very beautiful end. He has literally overcome a lot of his mental health battles just through the music alone and his family and a support system and all the things that have kind of guided him along the way. I mean, you're literally listening to a guy who has been at rock bottom and chose music as his way to express his musical journey out of the depths of mental health. So that's really why I want to put a very, very big emphasis on Blue October. Give them a listen. I think you're going to find their music very, very transformative if you're struggling with mental health issues. Give it a listen. But anyway, that's my song number 2. I Hope You're Happy by Blue October. Andrew, what is your number 2?
All right. So
number 4 in this.
Yeah, I'm going through this. The way I came up with my list is I just wanted to find songs that really capture what it's like to be a human on this planet. And I love the way that you put your list together too. But for my next song, most of us have been in a relationship that we really thought was going to work. We love this person, we care about this person, but due to life or something else, the relationship ends. I mentioned that I'm a massive Adele fan. Someone Like You by Adele is like one of the best songs for capturing that in a bottle and just living in it and dealing with it and reflecting on those kinds of emotions. That's off of her 21 album that came out in like 2011. What can I not say about this song. I've been listening to it since then. It's 2025, and there's always meaning for it there, some way, shape, or form.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think that actually it's very prominent that you brought that up, because it really ties into mental health in a certain degree. Because I don't know of too many people that have gone through breakups, good or bad or ugly or in between, that haven't dealt with some level of needing to be pumped up a little bit or talked about a little bit. I mean, that's a very big thing. You know, relationship breakups is a very difficult thing.
Mm-hmm.
I have dealt with them myself. I'm sure you've obviously dealt with it in your life. And it's very difficult to go through breakups. And sometimes music can help you get through breakups. I think music kind of helped me get through some breakups. It really honestly did. I think once my parents came to visit me after things went down with me and my now ex-wife, I turned to a lot of music, and I really trying to I was I think I was listening to some really down and depressing music, and my mom comes in the bedroom and she hears me playing it, and she's like, "Jay, turn it off. It's depressing." Like literally, literally. Hey, when I came back from Poland after my ex-wife told me she wanted to start dating other people, and I'm thinking, how am I going to deal with this left, right, and the other? I went to a very dark, depressive state, dealing with the demise of my first marriage. And my mother came into my room and said, "Oh my God, turn that crap off. Let's go listen to the Beach Boys or something that's uplifting, because we're getting ready to go through Hurricane Matthew, and all that it entailed upon Savannah." So yeah, man, I totally get the Adele thing. I totally vibe with your number 4, because I feel like your number 4 album kind of intersects itself into my top 5. I see how you did that, Andrew. You're a very clever young man, how you did that. I don't know how you did it, but you did it. Okay. But no, seriously, that's a very, very impactful thing. My number 3 song, as we're getting closer to out of that stage of mine, was "Save Me" by Jelly Roll. Believe it or not, of all people, Jelly Roll. Now, everybody knows Jelly Roll came out of prison and made a name for himself, which is highly commendable, to go from at the bottom of the rung to at the top of your profession with a very short amount of time. So yeah, man, Jelly Roll definitely is somebody. If you can go from prison to be at the top of your profession, that says something. That's the next evolution to saying, you know what, I'm not going to let mental health or let my circumstances that I come out of dictate my future for where I'm going to go in this life. And I think Jelly Roll is a perfect example of that next evolution, and my musical journey that has meaning to me. You know, he talks about living in hell, looking for a lifeline. I mean, are we all at certain points in our life living in a certain kind of a hell and just looking for something to grab onto to get us out of that hell, right? And he talked about being broken inside. I think we all have at some point in our life been broken inside of ourselves. And then he goes on to talk about self-talk and basically talk about being worthless inside, and the self-talk saying, no, you don't have to be worthless in this life. You can't. There is another life out there for you if you choose to dig yourself out of whatever rut or hole it is you're in. And I know that's not easy to do, but sometimes listening to music can get you out of that hole, especially when you resonate with the hole in which you're coming out of. So that's why I like Jelly Roll. Jelly Roll, and I would have never listened to Jelly Roll if it was not for your sister and your mother playing Jelly Roll. And I listened to it, and one day I said, you know what? I feel this. I resonate. And so then, of course, you know, I'm on iTunes, download everything Jelly Roll I can find. But again, that's the next step out of that mental health realm from song number 1 to song number 3, I think you see now where you're seeing songs that teaches you how to get out of that mental health. And it's not from somebody out there who decided to get behind a piano and tell you how to get out of it. It's from a guy who's been there, who's done that, who's been at the absolute fucking, because let's be honest, if you're in prison, there's no more further bottom that you can go than prison. Let's be honest. You can't get any further darker down than prison other than death. And the fact that he took himself out of that environment and is now pushing himself towards greater and better things, that's the process of my musical list that I want to generate, is that there is a phoenix that can rise out of the ashes. You just have to want to do it, and you have to have the right people around you. And also, again, your musical influences will help you keep living the way you need to live. So that's why I chose Jelly Roll Save Me at number 3. Interestingly enough, guess what, Andrew? You're at number 3.
I'm so thankful that country music is getting saved from the 2010s era. Tyler Childers, Jelly Roll, Chris Stapleton, they're saving country music, and I am so thankful because I was raised on country music, and then it got bad, and I wasn't listening to it. And we've got good country music again.
Yes, we do. Yes. And so speaking of country, real quick, I want to throw in there, let's not forget Aaron Lewis.
Yes.
Aaron Lewis is very much everything that embodied Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson. Matter of fact, Willie Nelson actually sang on his album. So again, Aaron Lewis, if you guys, if you want some newer country that still reminds you of the older country, give Aaron Lewis a shot. I think you'll be amazed at how much you'll appreciate it. But anyway, that's the here and there. Please, Andrew, continue. I apologize.
You're good. You're good. So my number 3 is a really great collaboration of a song. We Are the World, USA for Africa. Michael Jackson.
Yes.
Yeah. We all know the story of this.
For sure.
There's a really great documentary on Netflix about like the night of them recording the song, and it's quite a story. It's definitely worth a watch if you're into that sort of music history. Sorry, he was yelling at me. If I'm giving
it's okay. The fact that he opened up his eyes, now I know he's actual cat, and not just some dark creature that came out of nowhere.
He was yelling at me. If I give anything attention besides him, he's mad. So yeah. Different countries in Africa were really suffering, and what was his name? The guy with the Hello song, Lionel Richie.
Yeah. Oh, hello.
Yes.
Am I the one you're looking for?
Yeah. Lionel Richie and Michael Jackson got together and said, "Hey, we need to do something to help out." They wrote the song "We Are the World," and then the night of the American Music Awards, because the Grammys weren't such a big thing back at the time. The American Music Awards were. All these people were in town, and they brought everybody over to this music studio, and they stayed up all night. The sun was literally up the next day. With a brand new song. It got mixed, and then it played on the radio across the country all at the same time. And it just speaks to our need to help each other and to be good to each other, and that we're all just human.
No, absolutely. No, I remember that like it was yesterday. When they promoted that concert, it wasn't just those two singing. I mean, Cyndi Lauper was in there. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe Billy Joel was in there. I mean, anybody and everybody if you had a connection to music, literally you were part, because it was a choir at that point. It wasn't even one person, it was a choir when they actually did that song, and it was pretty much every single artist that you could think of that was known to man, that was in that choir singing that song. I'm pretty sure Stevie Wonder was in there singing it, if I remember
Yes,
correctly.
he was in there.
There was a lot of greats that were in there singing that song. I'm pretty sure even Bruce Springsteen, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
I believe even Bruce, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not a Bruce Springsteen person, but that's neither here nor there. I'm just saying Bruce Springsteen, as we all know, is still a very, very big music influential individual, and he was in this. So I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Whitney Houston, I believe, was even in this.
It was not Whitney Houston.
Was it?
I did
somebody
else.
Who was it?
That's a quick Google.
I thought Whitney was in that, but I might be wrong. Matter of fact, I probably am wrong.
Her name's on the tip of my tongue. Dionne Warwick. Diana Ross.
Dionne Warwick, which, by the way, Jay went too far off the pod because Dionne Warwick and Whitney Houston are related. So therefore,
yes,
I'm still in the ball game. So I'm going to let you have the Dionne Warwick. Okay, it is what it is. But that just tells you that how big that song was. I mean, it was incredible, incredible. And by the way, while we're talking about concerts, real quick, up until Ozzy Osbourne did his benefit concert for Parkinson's, which, by the way, that concert generated $200 million for Parkinson's. I mean, that's incredible. We all know how Parkinson's has affected a lot of people over a lot of ways throughout the years. So, congratulations. Rest in peace to the late Ozzy Osbourne. For generating that amount of money for Parkinson's research is just incredible. By the way, the number 2 concert, if you want to know who number 2 was Live Aid. And the big attraction at Live Aid was nothing more than Freddie Mercury and Queen. Very, very, very big concerts. Very big concerts for very, very different reasons. One was helping the farmers get back on their feet, which helps the backbone of America and what we do for exports. And the other one was for Parkinson's, which we all know Parkinson's has been going on for a very, very long time. And again, incredible result, not only for Live Aid, for what it did for Farm Aid, but also, excuse me, let me correct myself. Live Aid was for Africa and what was going on in Africa. Farm Aid was for the farmers here. And Farm Aid was actually number 3 concert. So let me correct myself. It was Ozzy Osbourne's for Parkinson's. It was Live Aid for the things going on in Africa in terms of AIDS and all the difficulties they were facing down there in Africa, as well as Farm Aid, which helped out the farmers. So those are 3 very important concerts for 3 very different reasons that I'm glad they had the success that which they had. My number 4 song, and speaking of Queen, and obviously you're going to resonate with this, is Queen and Under Pressure. I think Queen and Under Pressure, when we're talking about mental health, doesn't need to be minimized in any kind of way, because it was a very, very, very important song during that movement. So for those reasons, I got Queen coming out of pressure and how to deal with pressure. I got Queen as my number 4 song. And Andrew, I think me and you, even though we are very opposite ends of the spectrum in music, even me and you can resonate with Queen at number 4 and Under Pressure.
I almost put that on my list.
I know you did. I beat you to it, so deal with it.
I almost had that on my list.
So who is your number 2 song?
Okay, so my list gets a little weird now. My number 2 song is actually a church hymn written in 1873, I believe.
Okay.
It Is Well. with my
Oh man.
when peace like a river attendeth my way. Oh, it just,
Yeah.
no matter what you're going through, it is well with my soul.
You know what's interesting? If I could pause you for 1 second, the fact that and again, guys, you got to understand, I had no idea what his music list was coming out here with. And this is the reason why I did not want to know, Andrew, because I wanted the show to be organic. I wanted the show to be free flowing, and I did not want to know what your list was because I did not want your list to infect my list.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that you came out with "It Is Well With My Soul," which is, again, if you think about it, ties towards mental health and how you find peace within yourself to deal with whatever it is you're going through. Andrew, that's the exact reason why I did not want to know, was so that way today I could say to you, my brother, your list is now equal, not equal to, but it is now a combined shared into my list. And I think it's so beautiful that your number 2 song ties into the songs that in which derived me. So that's beautiful. But I don't know if you realize that, and that's why I didn't want you to tell me your songs, because I didn't want you to say, well, Jay, you knew what my songs were coming into this. You could have left, right. No, I wanted to be organic. I wanted to see if what your list would have any way, shape, or form an infection upon my list. And the fact that your number 2 song actually coincides with my list, that's why I didn't want to know.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Interesting. That's awesome, dude.
I have been in some dark spaces in my brain, and I just end up screaming that song.
Yeah.
Just demanding it from myself.
Dark places? You have to.
That you have to get yourself out of there. And that song does it. Self-affirmation.
Amen. Man, that's awesome. It's awesome that your list coincided with my list and you didn't even know it because you didn't know my list and I didn't know your list. And the fact that we made that connection, brother, that's why I didn't want to know your list. That's amazing. That's freaking awesome. It's awesome. Okay, so now that brings me to my number 1 song. And my number 1 song is for every single person in the world. I don't care where you're listening. You could be in Australia, Germany, Russia, Ukraine, Gaza, Israel, whatever it is, wherever it is you live and you're listening to this. This is my number 1 song. And the reason why it's my number 1 song is to be the pinnacle for what I want to achieve in music and its meaning. And I always say, you start out at the darkest of clouds, which was Hate Me by Blue October. Number 1 was the darkest of clouds in his time. And it ends with you being the person to help others when they're contemplating the darkest moments of their life. So we went through Hate Me, I Hope You're Happy, both by Blue October, to Save Me by Jelly Roll, to Queen, Under Pressure, to now dealing with how can you, once you are the person that overcomes your mental health challenges, how can you give back? And that's where number 5 comes in. Number 5 is by Papa Roach, and it's called Leave a Light On. And what that's talking about is him telling people, if you're going through a point in your life that you don't see a way out and you don't know who else to turn to, that there's somebody in your life that will leave the light on. Goes back to the old days. You know, you leave your porch light on. And if the porch light on is that somebody you can come and talk to. And whatever it is, if you're in need or whatever, the porch light on is that's what it's referring to. So it says leave a light on. It's like leave the porch light on. Leave the porch light on for anybody and everybody that you know of that may be battling mental health, maybe battling a dark place, maybe battling anything and anything. Maybe it's as simple as having a hard day at work or whatever the case may be. Leave your light on is just a way of saying, hey, if you ever find yourself in an issue or a situation where you're contemplating the meaning of your life, before you do anything and everything that's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. I want to say it again. If you're dealing with a permanent solution to a temporary problem, and I want to say this one more time, and I want to say this, in favor of Charlie. If you're dealing with a permanent solution to a temporary problem, I'm your light on. And if you ever find yourself in a situation where you find yourself contemplating the meaning of life and your place in it, DM me. It's Jason McMahon. You DM me. You DM me, and I will reach out to you, and I will be your light on. Because there's no sense in taking a permanent way out on a temporary problem. And that's why I love this song by Papa Roach. And Andrew, if you've never heard it, I strongly suggest go listen to it. But it really is very, very impactful. And Jacoby Shaddix, who is the lead singer for Papa Roach, Jacoby Shaddix is very, very, very involved in helping people who think they don't have a way out to find a way out. And that's what I want to be. I want to be your way to find a way out. And if you ever listen to that, if you find yourself in a dark place, DM Jason McMahon or DM, or even just DM this show, or even leave in the comments. Just leave it a comment. Leave a comment, and I will respond to your comment. If I see your comment, I'll respond to you. Whatever it is, I want you to know that there's people out there that love you, that care for you, and want to see you succeed as a human being, and that suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And Andrew, I apologize. I don't want you to get too. I don't want to affect you too much, but I really believe that this is something in our country that seems to be an epidemic, and it doesn't need to be an epidemic. It needs to be us out there reaching to others to help them get through a difficult place in time. And again, you see the comment section on this show. If you leave a comment on this show saying you want to talk or whatever, I will reach out to you. I go through these comments and I will reach out to you, and we will have a conversation. But again, I like to leave on a happy note, and the happy note is there is a way out for each and every one of us. You just got to reach out to people that could be a support system for you, but nobody can help you unless you reach out. So that's the way I want to leave this. That's the way I want to end my segment on my songs, is that there's always a solution. There's always a support system. And if you leave your name in a comment section that says, Jay, call me, you got to tell your situation. Just say, Jay. That's it. If you just leave my name and you're Jason McMahon, if you just type Jason McMahon in the comments, I will read. That's all you got to do. Jason McMahon in the comments, and I will reach out to you, and we will get through this together, because that's the importance of the Whiskey Hour, is not only talk about the songs that have our meaning, but have songs that can bring resolution to somebody who may not know a way out. Having said that, I am going to give this to Andrew's number one. Andrew, I'm very curious to know your number one. What is your number one, brother?
Okay. Hear me out.
The floor is yours, brother.
Written between the years of 1822 and 1824, we have Beethoven's Ninth Symphony.
Okay.
It's got 4 movements. It takes about a little over an hour to listen to the whole thing. But the first movement is very, very discordant, Da-da, da-da, da-da-da-dun, dun, 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 dun. And it's representing chaos and things being out of control. And then it gets all the way up to the last movement where you have Ode to Joy. Dun 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 da 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 da.
I know that. Watch this. You didn't have to tell me who that was, but when you started singing it, I knew exactly what you were talking about. So we all know how famous that is.
Yeah, it is such powerful music that when the Berlin Wall came down, musicians from the United States, Russia, and Germany all came together and played Beethoven's Ninth Symphony there in a reconstructed concert hall near where the Berlin Wall was. Citizens from East and West Germany came together, Russia, United States, and it was a big, massive thing. You can actually watch that concert on YouTube if you go and search for Leonard Bernstein, Beethoven's Ninth Symphony.
It's beautiful. I do want to admit, though, Ronald Reagan did call Gorbachev out on that.
He did.
So what I'm saying is, I really, because we talked about this a little bit at the fire pit, you and I was curious to see where you were going to go with how that song took down the wall. But I do get what you're saying. It's like the energy to bring it down was incited by Beethoven. But I also want to call out my boy, Ronald Reagan, calling out on his boy, Mikhail Gorbachev, to tear down that freaking wall. So what I would say is this. I think you're definitely right that music inspired it. But I also want to contact, because I don't think the U.S. gets enough history or enough love for what we've done. And the fact that Reagan called out Gorbachev, and I think Gorbachev was put on the spot by Reagan, and I think he felt that it was, okay, you're going to call me on the spot? Okay, I'll go ahead. To save face, I think he went along with it. And I think ultimately that brought down the Berlin Wall. But I will give you that credit. I truly 100% believe that Beethoven inspired Reagan, and I believe Reagan, through diplomatic measures, basically put Gorbachev on the spot, and Gorbachev was like, all right, the wall's coming down. And that's how, I could be way off on my thought process, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was some sort of connective tissue that makes that story plausible. I'm just saying, I don't know, but I'm going to ride with that. Because we all know that until Reagan said, Mikhail, tear down this wall, that I think he put Mikhail on the hot seat, and Mikhail is like, oh, hell no, I'm not going to be on the hot seat. Okay, tear down the damn wall. But to your point, Andrew, I'm sure that there were things that inspired Reagan to tell Gorbachev to do that. And one of those things was probably that Ninth Symphony by Beethoven. So again, I think a lot of things come together for the greater part of common good. And I think, Andrew, you'll agree with me that is the perfect example of how music can affect change. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where you're coming from. Andrew, if I'm wrong, please call me out. But I think what you're saying is, Jay, it took music to affect Reagan, to affect Gorbachev, to ultimately affect that wall coming down. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I left?
The concert didn't take place until after the wall had already been brought down. So,
but you got to imagine that there was some sort of effect that got Reagan to that. We're going to leave it at that. You know what? You know why, Andrew, we're going to leave it at that? Because it makes for a good story. We're going to leave it there.
It is a good story.
It's a good story. The one thing I want to leave everybody with is this. If nothing else, and I don't want to put this. This is not to be out there for any kind of reasonings or this, that, and or the others. And Andrew, I'm assuming you're going to be okay with this. Otherwise, I wouldn't say what I'm about to say. If I felt like you were uncomfortable, I wouldn't say what I'm about to say. But I think the beautiful thing about anybody watching this show is you've heard two different versions of music through two different points of view in terms of how they were shaped. And I hope that you take away from this is a couple of things. The first thing I hope you take from this is that music is power. I really think that music has a lot of power and what it can do for our society, what it can do for us as an individual, and obviously what it can do for us as a family. You know, as you resonate through music, I think music is the binder, if you will. I think music is a binder for merging different points of views in some cases. I will tell you right now, and the reason why I say that is, I will tell you right now, I'm Jay McLovin. You can know me in the real world as Jason McMinn, but I'm Jay McLovin. And I have a certain heterosexual point of view. And I also have a certain way of looking at music. And my son, who I proudly, let me say it again, who I proudly say is my son, because I am very, very proud of this young man, and I love him beyond measure. My son is homosexual. And it's not to be said in a dismissive way, it's to be celebrated, right? He is a homosexual. And so what I want you guys to realize is that a heterosexual person and a homosexual person can still find common ground, even in music. Music sees no color. It sees no. When we talk about the Constitution, we are the people of different backgrounds, orientations, and sexual preferences, and religions, and this, that, and the other. But the one common ground amongst all things is music. And that's why I wanted to do this show. I wanted to do this show for a number of reasons. I wanted to do this show because I love talking music. I love talking to people who have different points of view on music. And I wanted to do a show that has people of different orientations, because I'm just that kind of guy. I'm the kind of guy that's going to put the heterosexual, homosexual together, and let's see what we come out with. And I think you've already heard how much I appreciate Andrew's music and things of that nature. And Andrew will probably appreciate some of my music. Andrew, I don't know if you heard Blue October yet. I'm assuming you're going to listen to Blue October.
I'll listen to it. I'll go listen to it. I haven't heard them, but I'll go listen. I promise. At
the end of the day, no matter what my life looks like and what Andrew's life looks like, and I say that from a hetero and a homo, no matter what our lives look like, the one thing that we can always agree on is music. I promise you, we always agree on music. Some way, shape, or form, we always agree on music. And that's why, and I believe other people have said it before me, that music really is a pathway to the soul because it resonates with everyone. What a time to be alive, Andrew. I'm so glad you're my son.
I love you.
I love you. Still want my fucking rainbow back, but that's another story for another day.
It's on the body.
I know. You claim the rainbow. I can never look at the rainbow twice. But I will tell you this. Hey, guys, if you learn nothing else from Jay McLovin, if you learn nothing else from the Whiskey Hour podcast, it's that we're all about love and we're all about unity and we're all about talking every single thing known to man. The Whiskey Hour podcast is a water cooler episode where we just say what we say and we mean what we mean. What a time to be alive.
Mm-hmm. It sure is.
With that being said, it's your boy Jay McLovin with my boy Andrew Conger saying good night. We love yous. Later.